All right. We got a new Trisha Paytas video coming out here. It's called Should the Mentally Ill Be on Social Media? Very interesting take here. Now, normally I would think that this is an incredibly interesting topic to have a really good discussion about. Because there is a lot of depth here. Unfortunately, Trisha's the one saying it, but here's what I'll say. I don't think that the mentally ill, which sounds like a weird framing, I don't think that people with mental conditions should be forced to stay away from social media. I think the bigger problem with social media is the way that they treat people with disabilities. So first and foremost, there is relentless bullying with people with any disability on social media. TikTok especially those like smaller, more personal platforms. Like I would consider TikTok more personal. You know, you're more. I'm on TikTok. I was big on TikTok for a while, so I'm on TikTok and YouTube. YouTube is not as personal as TikTok. On YouTube, you get to sit down and have like a really solid. You know, you get to really put the framing of your whatever you want to put out in there. On TikTok, though, more people see it because it's short. You got 15 seconds. Like people aren't going to sit here and watch an hour or 2.5 hour long video about Trisha Paytas. Not that this one's not going to be that long, but they'll watch like a 15-second clip. So you're going to see like a higher engagement on TikToks than YouTube's, generally speaking. I mean, usually. I mean, the people that are lucky will have the other way around. And so there's a lot of relentless bullying, but also depending on. I mean, I'm assuming people with mental disabilities also have a difficult time understanding the way that social media works, and a lot of people do as well. The first thing is the way that people are likes. People have to understand this. The way that a lot of people perceive likes, even people who don't have any mental disability, they think that when somebody likes you, that they actually like you. But the problem is that's not often the case. A like is a general prescription for somebody enjoying the content that you're making for one reason or another. So I might get a like because I'm the most handsome person on YouTube, right? However, Trisha Paytas might get a like because they think that she's a fucking train wreck and it's funny to watch and they want to see her in the algorithm more. They might like it because they think that somebody is stupid or goofy, or they think that they are embarrassing themselves. Well, you don't know why people like your content. You just see likes. And so people will like your content, but you'll perceive that as they like you when they really probably don't. And it's unfortunate. And it's something that we as a society aren't even understanding yet, but it's something that people with disabilities may never understand, or they would struggle to grasp that understanding. Because I think that's a little bit, not like a complex point, but I think it's a bit nuanced, and it takes a little bit of critical thinking to understand. And there are people that are mentally ill that can critically think, but I'm just saying. On top of that, there are tons of pressures. You know, when you get big on a platform and then you start to lose traction for one reason or the other, it can be very mentally distressing. It can create a sphere where you feel like you need to be intentionally controversial just to get views. I've been there. And that's why I'm speaking from that experience. And it was one of the failures of my platform. And I could imagine people with some kind of mental disability, depending on what it is, because she just said mentally ill. So this could be, I would consider that could be from like very severe autism to like somebody that pretends to have schizophrenia. You know, you really don't know what she means by mentally ill. So there's a lot here. I will say that I think that, so here's, I think every day I'm absorbing information about Trisha and trying to figure out exactly how I feel about her. I think that Trisha is a kind of a person who probably has, from her own admission, she seems to have markers or indicators of different mental issues. However, I don't think that they're, for lack of a better term, severe enough for any like real medication. And for the most part, she might be on a medication. She may not be. I tend to not believe her, but she might be. But I think that she's on these or she has something severe enough to require additional management outside of what she could do by herself. So she probably, I would hope that she is. It's hard to tell if it's true. I would assume she's actually seeing a therapist to get some kind of a group treatment to figure out and identify the ways in which she needs help dealing with her shit. I wouldn't doubt that that's very true. But I wouldn't classify her as mentally ill. However, what I would say is that there's probably a factor of her mental illness being from social media and the inability for her to manage it. I think it's a very we don't consider it this, but on like social media, YouTube and whatnot, the sphere of those things, the culture around those, that's its own environment, similar to you being in an environment at home. And that can create very, really honestly, inappropriate interactions, or the inappropriate just, we'll say not inappropriate, but just flawed, or just perspectives that are devoid from reality. And it can create some really fucked up scenarios. So, for instance, David Dobrik, somebody who thinks that it was appropriate to rent a fucking truck or whatever, or one of those, whatever construction vehicle, and swing his friends from it. Right now, that was basically enabled by like the YouTube sphere. It was all just a prank. It put it in a weird vacuum. It put it in a weird perspective, and that's kind of the what I want you to look at it. Like that's what I'm talking about. You look at YouTube drama through a bizarre lens, and I think it really shapes who you are and the way that you react. And if you notice, most drama channels, they have very brain dead takes on drama. There's not a lot of critical thought. They'll just ride whatever they feel is safe. They don't want to say anything that's too controversial because they don't want to be canceled. And so I think that there's a lot in play here. But enough of me rambling. Let's watch Trisha Paytas talk about whether or not mentally ill people should be on social media.
Welcome to another episode of My Chemical Imbalance.
Could have done without the singing.
Podcast where I don't want you to get too attached to. There's a little pink in there.
You're so low. What are you so low for? Well, all right, maybe I'll turn myself down.
You never hurt somebody, but
there we go. I'm a little lower.
The podcast not get too attached to because I am a chemically imbalanced brain. I have a chemically imbalanced brain. I'm a chemically imbalanced person with an obsession with My Chemical Romance.
I don't think that she has a chemically imbalanced brain. I don't think that there's never been an indicator that her parents or her family has some kind of a mental issue. So if she does have some kind of a mental issue, it would most likely be environmental rather than it would most likely be an environmental thing rather than something that comes from an actual chemical imbalance.
So, and yeah, I'm also borderline schizophrenic.
Dr. Drew already told you that you're not borderline schizophrenic. What are you talking about, you sussy baka? What are you saying? It was already proven. That's the thing. He literally said, no, you're not. And she's like, okay, which means that your doctor never diagnosed you with that. What it means probably, you might take a medication. You might have some of the markers for it where you require, like we were talking about additional therapy, but you don't have. Just stop.
I identify as they, them, but I'm also gender fluid. Something on the day, time, hour, year.
Is she trying to say that being gender fluid is like a mental disorder? I'm confused. So gender dysphoria, like, yes, that is classified as, well, they might have changed it, but that's generally classified as like a mental health condition for sure. They might have changed it to a sexual health condition, which I disagree with, but that's the conversation for another day. But if you don't have gender dysphoria, you wouldn't consider that some kind of a mental imbalance. That's really just an identity. It's bizarre that she doesn't even seem to understand her own identities.
I could be another gender. And yeah, my borderline will...
Why does she sound so depressed here?
Probably convince me to change this channel completely and rebrand. So we're always trying...
Her borderline is going to cause her to rebrand? Your borderline's not going to cause you to rebrand. Your inability to stay with something is. Honestly, maybe she watched my video where I really tore into her and said that her podcast sucked. I don't know.
New things to see which Trish, the internet, likes best. This is actually just more for me. I was told that I sound like I'm just rambling when I'm doing my solo podcast, that I'm really good on other people's podcasts or...
Oh my God. I feel so bad right now, which is weird because it's Trisha Paytas. But she's like, oh, I've been told I'm just rambling. She was so excited on all her podcast episodes until I made my video about how her about how her video was effectively unfucking watchable because she just rambles. And then she posts this video. I feel so bad. I do. I do feel bad. Honestly, like Trisha's still a person, and there's something wrong with her where she's definitely like a shitty person. But I think that maybe some of that is her ability to deal with her social media presence. I don't know. I feel bad though.
Co-hosting or bouncing off somebody, but when I'm just by myself, it just sounds like I'm ranting. And honestly,
you are though.
It makes sense. I can't really stay on track that much, and that's just how it is. Made a
I'm probably not the only one that pointed out. That's shut up. Let me have my moment, okay?
career 15 years doing it, so I think I'll keep hanging on while it lasts. So today I wanted to talk about bullying,
Okay.
mental illness, and social media.
Okay.
Um,
She really slowed her speech
I
down.
don't
We
think
could
it's
play this a little
healthy
faster.
for anyone to be on social media. Of all the unhealthy choices I make in my life, I
That's
think
probably true.
putting
Yeah.
my life on blast is the most unhealthy, but also the most addictive.
Probably
Very
true.
addicted personality. I've had an
Okay,
addiction to
this isn't a personality thing. Just generally speaking, social media can be addictive, especially if you get popular on it. It has nothing to do with any mental illness. It gets addictive because you get like what dopamine is it called? Dopamine or serotonin? You get a rush in your head when people like your content. You like the views and the likes, and you get locked into making content for it. But it's not because you have some kind of a mental issue. That's just the way it works in general.
probably the most everything, the most popular addictions and the most obscure. Thank God I've never been an alcoholic. I would definitely be dead. While
I
I
thought you said
had
you
a pill
were.
problem and I definitely
Oh, okay.
overused drugs, I don't consider myself a drug addict
Okay.
right now. But I have been addicted
What do you mean right now?
to spending lots of money. Still am, always have been. I've been addicted to sex. I've been addicted to food.
I see. I don't like the framing what she's saying. She said that she has been addicted to sex. She's been addicted to food. The thing is, though, and maybe I'm nitpicking, but you don't stop becoming an addict. Once you're an addict, you are always an addict. Because and the reason that you need to acknowledge that is because if you don't acknowledge that, then you'll go back into your addictive like behaviors. And so it's something that you always struggle with. So it's possible that she's just kind of on it, not educated on that. But I just don't really like giving her the benefit of the doubt because I don't think that she deserves it, and it just makes me feel like are you addicted to sex or do you just like sex a lot? Those are not the same thing. Those are two very different things.
Am addicted to food.
And are you addicted to food? I have a problem with eating as well. You see how fat I am, and it's making me unhealthy. That doesn't mean I'm food addicted. It does mean that I have inappropriate coping mechanisms. But when you use the word addicted, I really feel like for a specific, especially for Trisha Paytas, that to her, when she says she's addicted, it's a justifier for her bad behavior rather than just an actual thing. I don't think that she's addicted. She's addicted to causing problems. That is actually probably true. But I don't know. I would say I have a problem with food. I'm not addicted, though. I wouldn't take away the personal accountability and responsibility for myself because then I feel like I wouldn't be able to control it and change it.
I'm addicted to. There's so much to get into, and I'm exhausted. I'm defeated. And the thing is, when you're
I
exhausted
believe
and
that.
defeated, that's okay. That's a normal feeling. But it's not okay when you're on social media.
The
And
thing, though, Trisha, is that you could leave social media for. See, my genuine advice to Trisha is I think that she needs to stop posting for an entire week and relax and then come back fresh with new content and not care if people like it. The weird, cringy videos she does with Moses, I think are good for her page. I think that those are a good thing. I think that she needs somebody that needs to take a step back, get out of the limelight, stop being very reactionary to all the criticism that she gets, and then she can come back stronger than ever before. So that's what she needs to do. She needs to calm herself down and give her because she's not doing that. And that's I think what's really going on that's so fucked up. She needs to genuinely, and then maybe that's the thing is she needs to not care. I think what happens is she tries to do that to some extent, but then she doesn't get the same attention that she usually gets. So she's like, oh, this isn't good enough. But it's okay. There are people left, and every day that you make your content, these people disappear. But there are people left that actually like you and are willing to forgive you. And so I think if you take a step back and you make new content, I really do genuinely think that you could recover and you could have a content creating. You can make content that people will enjoy. But not the same number because the thing is that like we were talking about likes before, just because you have a lot of likes doesn't mean that a lot of people like you. So you need to relax. You need to relax. you need to relax, and you need to let people, because I guarantee there are people who actually do like you and they'll like your content. Those are the people who will stick around.
I go back and forth with this. Obviously, talking to a therapist, I like it's better to just not read comments. The first week of therapy,
Well, that's
I
true.
ever like and really committed to, when I started committing to go to therapy, which was 2019, May of 2019 specifically. I remember he told me just you cannot read the comments. That is what is
So
making you sad. That is what's driving that's what's spiraling you. That's what's triggering.
see, that's not necessarily what's making you sad, though. What's making you sad is that that people don't like you, and they're commenting negatively, right? So obviously you shouldn't necessarily read all the comments, because it can be very like mentally distressing. 100%, I do agree with that. I do believe that's a thing. But also part of it is that, people may just not like you because they think that you're being a dishonest asshole, and so those people are not liking your content. Like, yeah, those are the people who are not liking you. And so, like, if you made content that wasn't so dishonest, people would probably like you more, and then you wouldn't have the issue of reading comments. Because it's not just that comment that you have hate comments. You're not just the kind of person that's focusing on the hate comments. You're somebody who literally gets almost exclusively hate comments.
Cannot read the comments. What else can you do besides read the comments? And I'd be like, yes, yes, yes. Where we do all these exercises. I had my plans. I could not read comments for like a half day, and then I would just read the comments. And I just was like, I don't know. I literally can't help myself from reading the comments.
Hey yo, I pull up to the
And
after party.
to this day, I'm still that way. So while a therapist will tell me, he told me, don't read the comments. It literally is deepening your mental illness. It's making it worse, especially a mental illness that is an uncontrollable emotional personality disorder. Like you literally have to stabilize your emotions. If you're not able to control that and you're doing something that's putting your emotions all out of whack, it's really harmful. You're really, really damaging yourself. So it makes sense. But this is a career that I chose, that I still choose. And
It is, but you're choosing the way in which you enact that career. You don't have to do the content that you're doing.
Really enjoy, to the point where it kind of pushes me to insanity, which only makes for better content. And then I think content creators, if you're a content creator, that's what you sign up for. You sign up for the whole internet to completely trash you.
Sure.
I have gotten the most hate I've ever gotten online. And it's all, whenever I get hate, it's in this immensity. I get it from fandoms. And there's some really cool.
See, this is what I'm talking about. So this is exclusive. This has nothing to do with whatever mental issue she might have. What she just said is that she gets hate from fandom. So what she's saying is that people, Ethan, that's the subtext here. I'm sure she'll just name him anyway. People don't like her, and they weaponize their fans against her. She still doesn't understand that it's not that people, that's not what it is. People don't like you. And the reason that's important is if she can't acknowledge that, if she can't acknowledge that it's her fault people don't like her, then she's never going to be able to fix the problem.
Cruel ones out there, and the Vlog Squad, I thought you could not get any worse than that fan base. I was wrong, and that's a whole video that I've already ranted about, and I don't need to rant, but
That's the thing I said. She almost brought it back. Hopefully she doesn't go into it, because remember I said the Ethan thing? I lost it on like her second episode. I'm like, I'm tired of listening to you just talk about Ethan every podcast. And now she's like, oh, I'm not going to talk about it. I already talked about it 700 times.
When you're mentally ill, and even if you're not creating content, even if you're just consuming content, especially someone like myself, and I'm always speaking for myself, but sometimes I speak third party, or I look at myself from a movie script, a storyline, that this is not my reality. So sometimes I say, I'm talking in like as if I'm reading a book, but I'm really referring to myself. All of this is experience. But when I don't know reality, when I think social media is reality, I know from outside perspective, from talking to a unbiased person that's not involved, a third party that's not involved in my life, that I pay to be involved or to give insight.
Okay.
It's not reality. But then if your mind is balanced, if you are an intact individual in
Well,
control
I
of
think
your.
that's one of the problems, and I think that's a common problem, is that social media is a reality. It literally exists. It is and like I was saying before, people don't consider it an environment like you would consider like your hometown an environment, but it is. And I think that's one of the problems, is that you're not. It is kind of reality. It's just a horrible dog shit distorted reality that you can't root yourself into. And I think that she's rooted herself into this reality.
Your emotions and
Reality.
in reality or not, then anybody could tell you that social media is not real. And I would say none of it. I would venture to say none of it's real. Not to say there's not, obviously, there's real humans with real experiences, with real thoughts and real emotions and all of that. But what you see is not who that person
I
is, no
don't think
matter
you're real,
how
Trisha.
real. Again, referring to myself as that person, I'm that person I'm referring to. No matter how real that person comes across or how real they want to be, I say, let me expose every skeleton in the closet so that no one has anything on me. That's always been my motto because I have this impending sense of doom, which I
I
talk about
really
in
feel like that's your motto isn't to expose every skeleton in the closet so people know everything about you. I think you just like to talk a lot.
impending sense of doom that something is always going to be found out about me. Always had that. And I, from a very young age, I would just say everything. Everything. Now let's talk. I've talked about being a compulsive liar in my past, and I talked about this on frenemies, which ultimately gets used against me. Still gets used against me. Oh, how are you not a compulsive liar now? When I was younger,
You
I
are.
did compulsive lying
You
to
still do.
deter from the reality of my life,
What's the reality of your
or
life?
the reality of events. It wasn't even my life. I, I look at when I think about childhood, it was fine. And then when I like think about when I go back into places that I blacked out from, or it doesn't feel like my life, or I look at it as a storybook or a movie, that's all the things around it that I'm starting to just make up. I made up that I had a twin named Trixie. I would go visit my father in California, which was the truth, but I would make up
I
stuff
mean,
like
you made up that one teacher like molested you. You named him. You literally named him. Was it Mr. Farley? I don't remember the specifics. You said you told everybody you could look it up, his arrest record, and there's nothing on him. You said he got arrested for child porn, and he never did. What do you mean you don't lie anymore? What are you talking about, bro? Yeah, you do.
oh, going into detail, there's a tap. I have a dance theater with gold tap shoes, a limo
And
with
if you're willing to lie about something that insane, like that intense, like what else are you willing to lie about? You know what I mean? It's like, Jesus, that's supposed to be a taboo. You're not supposed to lie about that kind of shit. You know, it's one thing to lie and be like, yeah, you're not looking too fat, honey. It's another thing to be like, yeah, this guy is a pedophile. It's like, holy shit. That's a really heavy accusation to leverage against somebody. It's fucking insane. That's really bad. Like, that's a really bad thing. It's probably the worst thing you could. Bro, I'm telling you, society views pedophiles worse than fucking murderers. So you saying that somebody's a child, not just a pedophile, a child molester is what you said, because you said they molested you. There's a difference. People don't choose to be attracted to children, but when you molest, you actively made the choice to hurt a child. It's fucking insane. It's insane, man.
me up from the airport, like all of this stuff. And this was more as a child because I was going through abuse at the school that I couldn't comprehend. All I knew was I was never allowed to talk about it. But
Trisha, you said that you enjoyed it. That's the really fucked up part, because we got the whole exposure from the Mysterious T video. She was saying that like she liked the attention from older men, and like it was really bizarre. She said that that she somehow enjoyed it, which I didn't think was like which didn't ring correct. But now you're not even being consistent with what you were saying before. You're all over the place.
it was something so severe that I started having lies, but that were my reality. I was having false realities. So I was creating in my head when um I was creating that I had a twin and that twin became real. I was creating that my dad had a ton of money and he did later on in life. He did later on in life. So a lot of people are gonna be like confused because people try and piece my whole life together. And he did like around the age of like 11, 12, he sold his company and stuff, but this was when I was much younger. And that was my real world when I was going through abuse, which I've talked about numerous times. Doesn't feel like abuse. I know as an adult now, obviously, thank God, it was abuse, right and wrong, and all that stuff like that. But this is before social media, right? Fast forward now, we have social media, which I'm addicted to, right? Once again, was addicted to. I started my MySpace when I was 17, started my YouTube when I was 18, and it now created. I was able to create a new reality. I started my MySpace as Grindhouse Barbie. My personality trait was obsession with Quentin Tarantino. It kind of worked. I got attention from a lot of people, including Quentin himself. I got to meet him. Mutual friends had always, I do have a shirt on, sorry, would always have us hang out. So I'm like, this is my personality trait. I started taking on other personalities because I didn't want to be me. Not knowing who I was and still not knowing who I am, or not knowing my personality, not knowing what I actually like. But you still see to this day, I have obsessions because I get into someone else's reality, and that's probably creepy. I don't know, but I like being in someone else's reality. I like being someone else's world. I like taking on something completely different. So this year, My Chemical Romance. Next year, I don't know.
It's just so weird to me because what she's saying is I take on a whole world. And if this was coming from somebody, anyone else talking about their mental health problems, I would be like, oh, interesting. This is a very factual conversation we're having. But it's Trisha, so we obviously question everything about her. So most people have interests that shift. So what it sounds like is she just has shifting interests that she's labeled like a new personality. That's what it sounds like. Again, if it was anybody else, I would be much more inclined to believe them. But guess what? It's not anybody else.
I create my MySpace and my YouTube, and
I
I
had a MySpace
can become
too.
anything, and
It's pretty cool.
people, and that's my reality. So while I'm
Not really.
dealing with being a literal streetwalker, literally walking the streets, Santa Monica Boulevard, Sepulveda Boulevard in Van Nuys, working strip clubs that are hooker stores, that is reality. That's reality. But my life online, I think I started talking about being a stripper and stuff to kind of, again, expose myself before I could be exposed. Was able to get gigs through social media. So I'm getting contacted by America's Got Talent. They contacted me through social media. Ellen through social media. There was one show I was too mentally ill for. I don't know how I passed the mental test for Celebrity Big Brother, but there was one show I was mentally ill for, too mentally ill. They took a test, and I guess because it had to do with celebrities. I don't know if I think I think it was called like, the way it was pitched at the time was like number one hater.
You know, it's interesting because I know that obviously TV shows they want they want a type of person, and Trisha can fulfill the role of like just a crazy fuck. But I will say, and it depends on how good these psychological tests are. But if you're passing the psych evaluations to be on these shows, wouldn't that suggest that you're more capable than you're letting on to be?
And we went on simply to get money. Like I did most of my shows. I did Who Wants to Date a Comedian for money. We did this judge show for money. Like they paid. We were like, I was like, let's do anything for that coin. And yeah, it was number one hater, and they were looking for number one haters, and they had the list of people you could be a hater for. And one of the people was Scott Disick. Now I don't watch the Kardashians. I know it sounds on TikTok. I obviously know who the Kardashians are, but I don't watch the Kardashians. But I was like, oh, okay, Scott Disick, whatever. We got picked for
Trisha looks like a fake Kardashian, doesn't she? I know that's weird to say, but isn't that a vibe you get?
the show, and my sister was gonna like set it up that like I'll run into Scott Disick and like I'm his number one hater, so I'm gonna like confront him, or there was gonna be some sort of interaction between us. And it was all booked and everything, but we had to get these tests done beforehand. And
True,
I remember
right?
them. This was the first time I remember like answering this and not knowing that it wasn't normal.
Okay.
I did the test. It was like fill in the bubbles, and they called me back and they're like, "Oh, you filled in the bubble of you see shapes that aren't there," and I'm like, "Yeah," and I see animals that aren't there, and I'm like, "Yeah." This was like my first sign of that, where I chalked it up as they all thought I said it, but I said, "Yeah," and they're like, "Okay, well, we can't have you on the show," and I was like, "What?"
You know what's interesting about this, because everything's been recorded, is that this is another Mysterious Team fucking video shit. I mean, you can really go look that shit up. It's just mysterious on YouTube. But it was very interesting because Trisha was on a podcast. It was a dumb podcast where she just talked about Ethan, talked shit about him the whole time, as usual. And she talked about how she had schizophrenia. And when they were talking about that, somebody asked her, they said, do you have like smell hallucinations? And she's like, no, I just have verbal and visual, I believe she said, hallucinations, or audible hallucinations and visual. And so, but I don't have a smell. I've never had smell ones. But then all of a sudden, like A week later, all of a sudden, Trisha started to have smell hallucinations, and she was like, "Oh no, I have." She referenced it, I think, on the she said it on the Dr. Drew podcast thing. She's like, "Oh, I have smell hallucinations as well," and it's like, okay, but you said before you didn't, right? And so it's like you expect us to believe that you have or had schizophrenia, but you're lying. Now, it's quite possible that Trish, maybe, and this is giving her too much of the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Trish is just such a fucking. Maybe she does have schizophrenia, but she also is a big lying fucking asshole. And so she's like, oh, I'm going to add that to my list of things that I have. It's quite possible that she's just her biggest enemy because her mental illnesses work against herself to invalidate herself. But she's never, that's something interesting. Mama Guts in the chat, she said, but she's never given detail of what her delusions or hallucinations actually are, which I think is a factor. Like, how do we take it, is a factor of when it comes to validating it. Like, you don't give details on it. You know what I mean? Why have you never given us details? But just
like, I have been approved for all these shows. I had done all these shows. I was like, wow, okay. So that was like my first sign of like crazy, I guess you could say. I dated a guy from 18 to 24 who
I'm nitpicking, but would it be considered invalidating for somebody with a mental illness to call themselves crazy? Like, do people have a hang? I feel like people would have a hang up on that. I know I'm nitpicking at this point.
Not on social media, but would look at my social media.
No, that's a good point too. For somebody who records their life, she's never even seemed distracted by her hallucinations. That's true. That's actually a really good point. There's never been a moment where she's been distracted by her hallucinations. That she's never been like, yeah, I was making this video and I had this, that, or the other problem. And for somebody who's effectively a blogger, she's never been like, oh my God, I was filming this video. There's never been a blooper. There's never been like a bizarre moment. Every single time she's hearing something weird, we hear it too. There was a whole video where there's a fucking crow in the background and she's like, what is that? And it's like, it's a fucking crow. Why? And then there's like trains going by. She's never done one of these. Or like, I remember Mama was telling me about somebody that actually has schizophrenia on TikTok, and they were talking about how there was a person at their church like making funny faces and dancing at them, and then she realized it wasn't a real person after she's like, look at that person to her friend, but she's never even done any of that. That's an interesting point. She's never once even indicated, and I know it's only been like a year, but has Ethan ever noticed it? Have they ever had to edit that out of frenemies? Probably not. So you're saying you have hallucinations, but no one's ever seen it in person, despite being really close to you, and you've never even indicated it whatsoever. So I don't understand.
Yeah. And that's when I started being misdiagnosed. Because he was bipolar, he started diagnosing me with it and giving me bipolar medication. So this is where that all comes in.
Wait, what? Wait, she said she got misdiagnosed as bipolar from somebody because they were bipolar? Wait, what?
That's when I started being misdiagnosed. Because
Wait.
Wow, okay. So that was like my first sign of like crazy, I guess you could say. I dated a guy from 18 to 24 who was not on social media, but would look at my social media. And that's when I started being misdiagnosed. Because he was bipolar, he started diagnosing me with it and giving me bipolar medication. So this is where that all comes in.
What? Wait. She was dating a therapist that diagnosed her as bipolar, and he also had bipolar? Is that what she's saying? Is this a new thing that we've never known about? Is this her concoction? This is her thought process. She was sitting here and she's like, people are calling me out for lying because I'm incredibly inconsistent with my lies. So I'm going to make up an entire like elaborate fucking scenario where I was dating somebody who could diagnose people and they misdiagnosed me. Is that what she's trying to say?
I would take this stuff and I would feel
Is that new?
Out of it. So there are times when I say that I'm on drugs when in fact it's just lithium, which is a drug and it wasn't meant for me, but I thought it was okay because he's like, I have bipolar, I can diagnose you with bipolar, and I thought that was totally normal and totally fine.
The therapist was an older man. Okay. Oh, or she wasn't dating him. Where did I get the dating part from? Did I just like make that up? Did I just hear? Am I having hallucinations now? Did I hear her say dating that person? Am I just fucking stupid? I might be dumb.
On social media, I didn't pay attention to it for a number of reasons. It wasn't so intense.
No, it sounds like she was dating a guy who's bipolar and gave her. Okay, I wasn't wrong, right? I don't, because for a second there I thought I had what's called Trisha schizophrenia, fake schizophrenia.
I thought all attention is good attention. I was fascinated by Andy Kaufman always. I've always talked about him as a child. I liked that he got people mad and was in control of it. Because
Okay.
when I was little, I wasn't a problem, but I
Wait,
almost
she's going with like the I'm a troll argument. I liked Andy Kaufman because he made people mad and it was fun. And she's like, "What are you just like? You're like I'm the Joker from the movie Joker." Is that what she's saying?
like just being in control of something. As I talked about my eating disorders, like I'm out of control of so many things. Hold on one second. Is this recording? Okay. I was out of control of something, so I like the idea of being in control of something. And then when I started getting hate comments, I was like,
Whoa, she's speaking fast again.
one, I noticed the views going up, right? So being addicted to money and shopping and attention. I don't know if I said that. I think I was going to say that, and I was
Do
like,
you like how? So what her argument here is that she's creating this narrative where, she likes being controversial for views, right? Which I understand that because I had a period of doing that myself. But it's not her fault because she's addicted to buying things. So she can't even take accountability for anything. She can't even be like, yeah, you know what? I've been controversial for views. It's my bad. It's like I was controversial for views, but it's not my fault because I have a money problem and I need to make money. It's part of my mental health. Every flaw she has, if you've noticed, is a mental health problem. It's not just a bad characteristic that she has. It's a mental health problem. It's something that's not her fault. She has no control over, and it's totally okay. And we should all just like let her do whatever she wants because of it.
oh, that's kind of icky. But if I'm being honest, yes, I do. I do get addicted to attention. If I could have the perfect social media career now, I would not want to talk about drama.
So then stop. You don't need to. You don't need the money. You can manage these supposed addictions with the money you have by seeing therapists and like I don't know, getting a conservator. You probably don't even need to go that far because you're bullshit. You're full of shit. But you can manage your issues by doing something like that. Just do that. Change your content. Make the creepy, cringy Darman shit.
But I'm going through this change. We're coming off of frenemies. That's what we did. That's what we talked about. That's why people liked me. That's where I was. And so I'm like, that's what I got to do. That's what I got to do to stay relevant. Anyways, I'm kind of digressing. So I thought, if I get these hate comments and the views are going up and that means the money's going up and, this is now my false reality is becoming my real reality, right? Like I would tell guys as I
I
was
like the
talking,
Darman video. Shut up.
I was like,
I'm sorry.
I do social media and I make money because I was making money out there. I was like, I do this just for fun, for research, for, YouTube, and I'm going to write a movie and a book. And I mean, that was my goal. I think I wrote a book called Stripper Diaries, but, it was based on experiences, but it wasn't, I think I wasn't fully writing journals down, as it goes. There was parts to be filled in and whatever. And I just kind of wanted to make a TV show out of it or whatever. But that's where I flipped realities, where I was like, in reality, I'm hooking to pay my drug habit, to, pay whatever else. I was a broker. I don't know what I was doing wrong other than giving people my money, like literally just giving people, not even pimps, but like boyfriends or just the wrong people. But I mean, obviously I was able to, support myself somehow. Again, somehow. I don't remember like how I paid rent. Like, a lot of this I did block out, but it did soon become my reality. And so now social media, and I was like, okay, hey, like I was talking about my first trolling video, right? What is a troll? A troll is a mentally ill individual. No, the troll kind of is. Okay.
All right. What do you Dude, now she's turning the word troll into mentally ill. Do you want to know what a troll is? Somebody who just does dumb shit to get a rise out of people. It's not somebody who's mentally ill. Trolls are asshole. I'm kind of a troll. Like, I used to be a troll in video games. I was a scummy little fuck, right? Trolls are like those guys who, like, they want to be the Joker from the movie Joker. You know what I mean? Like, they think that they're edgy. There's little shitheads. That's it. All right? She's trying to make the troll, like, being a troll is now a diagnosable mental health condition. You have to understand, this is Trisha's perspective. Like, give me a fucking break.
If you get off on, and my trolling at the beginning was harmful because I was talking about groups of people and generalizing them, whether it was
Bro, you
satire.
called yourself a chicken nugget. I missed that era. She called herself a chicken nugget, which was invalidating to trans people. Then she said she was trans, but she had no idea what she was talking about. Then she said she had DID, which she doesn't have. It's just fucking crazy. It's that you weren't trolling though. I mean, maybe you were trolling, but you just wanted attention. You don't get to say that like it's your fault. It's not your fault. Like that would be the equivalent of if a white kid went to a Call of Duty lobby and like shouted the N word, and they're like, "It's not my fault. I'm just a troll. I can't control it." Like, it's stupid. Like, you're giving me like a brain dead fucking perspective here.
Parody, I did this video saying, men are superior than women, or, why I think, this sort of kink is hot, but like not saying it as a kink. There was
She's talking about rape. She said that there's a rape kink and she thought it was hot. Let me see. See, that's one of those things where it's like you can't talk about that unless you're ready to have a nuanced conversation. And that conversation is around like CNC. Some people have CNC kinks, but you don't need to really like express that. You don't really need to we don't need to know about that. That because she didn't say like, "Oh, I have a CNC kink." She said like, is the R word sexy? It's like CNC is like consensual non-consent. So that's a fetish that some people have, and it's fine. But usually you should keep it to yourself for the most part. But if you're going to talk about it, you need to talk about it in a very respectful way so you don't trigger people.
A lot of things, and the men superior women is an Andy Kaufman bit that I like took or whatever, but it really made people mad, and I like being in control of it, and I like getting the views, and I like getting the money, and I like getting the attention. It's a hell of a lot better than getting beat up out on the streets.
Dude, come on. Now she was getting okay. Let's just move forward. I'm not even gonna.
To this day, people are like, she's back on the drugs. Something's off about her. I am on medication right now for schizophrenia, but I'm trying to get off of it. Because I don't like how it's making me feel.
Because Dr. Drew told her she didn't have it. So she's like, I gotta get off it. Dr. Drew said I don't actually have it. It's like, dude, what? It's interesting because, okay, my understanding is you have to get a medical diagnosis in order to get drugs. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Let's say that she went to a therapist and they're like, hey, we're going to give you this medication that you might use to treat schizophrenia, among other things. But maybe she has a low dose of it to help her manage, honestly, just her moods or something. It's entirely possible. Now, all of a sudden, she doesn't want to be on it because Dr. Drew told her that she doesn't have schizophrenia. Like, don't you see how weird this whole thing is? This doesn't make any sense.
I think there needs to be some sort of suppression. There needs to be another option for me. Because there just needs to be another option. So, trolling. Some people
we do a little trolling here.
One where he likes to
we do a little trolling,
bully or harass. Obviously, I'm against that. I don't.
No, that's different. Keemstar's a fucking idiot.
Even just like bullying or harassing.
Hey, shout out to Keemstar for being a fucking asshole. By the way, also we're gonna do like a real shout out to Keemstar. Hold on a second. I'm gonna show you something fucking awesome, guys. You ready for this? I had a fan the other day. Message me. The balloons is getting kooky bananas. We should just relax here. Hold on. All right, come on, fucking. I had a fan the other day message me. Apparently, I don't even know where the picture is. Apparently, Keemstar actually saw a thing about me. He actually viewed somebody's story about me. Isn't that fucking crazy? So he knows who I am too.
For me as a troll, I was like, if I'm not hurting anybody individually, then it's fine. But obviously, talking about groups of people and talking about them generically and talking about stuff that I don't believe in is ultimately hurting a large group of people and hurting people I could possibly influence before even being an influencer. I mean, I guess I was an influencer, but I really started feeling some sort of responsibility. So then, trolling became a defense mechanism.
Oh, what do you mean it became a defense mechanism?
It was a defense mechanism. So if I felt... The first one I think of off the bat is obviously the DID video that I did, where I was being so sincere and I was so excited that Anthony Padilla did this video and that he's this mental health advocate. He did this video with a person that had DID, and I was just like, yes, this is what it is, because at that time I wasn't really going to someone consistently and stuff.
Dude, trolling is a mental. It's dude, shut the fuck up. Trolling is a way for her. That doesn't even make sense, dude. A defense mechanism. Shut up, dude. So stupid. Here's the thing though. Look at that. So Keemstar, look at it right down here. He viewed this post here, and that's about me, Papa Gut. Look at that. Fuck you, Keemstar. But no, trolling became a defense mechanism. You didn't make a video that said, I feel like I might have DID. You said you had DID. Shut up.
Like that, and I was like, this is what I have, like being misdiagnosed, being all this stuff like that. I was like, this is what I have. And then as soon as I got the backlash, and it hurt, like the transgender video too, those were two videos where I wasn't.
And as soon as she got the backlash, she gave up. Do you understand that that is a very telling moment? You're saying that you have these things, but the second that people said you didn't, you gave up and said, oh, maybe you're right. That doesn't make sense. Why would you give up then? Why would you be like, oh, that's all it takes for me? I guess I don't really have that, because you don't actually have that. There's no way, like if somebody said you don't have ADHD, Papa God, I'd say you go fuck yourself. Yeah, it's like, just shut up. There's the why are you giving up? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make logical sense for you to instantly just give up when some people say that you don't have a thing. It just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't.
I was being so sincere because the transgender video I just got off to where I was talking to someone who related to being gender queer or gender fluid. And I was like, yeah, this is it. And I was so excited to share this revelation with the internet. And I've seen so many people share their revelation.
Yeah, you know what? That's not true. You weren't excited to share the revelation with the internet. You were like, oh, look, this is popular. Let me be this thing. That's really what happened. And now you're trying to make us feel bad. And be like, guys, I finally identified with it. Trisha, I genuinely don't think that you're trans in any capacity. I don't invalidate trans people. Again, I'm gonna say what I always say. I think what happened that's unique to you, Trisha, is that you associate over-sexualizing yourself so much with being a woman that you just don't want to always have to be over-sexualized, and you want to not be that thing, and you identify not being overly sexualized with being a man, when you could just not always sexualize yourself. And this is one of the problems that happens for some people. I would argue most people that happens that do sex work for a living, because it can be very mentally distressful. I'm not saying that people should stop doing sex work. I'm just saying that it's seldom talked about. A problem that's not really talked about when it comes to people who do sell their bodies. It can be very mentally distressing, and I think that's what's happening. One of the reasons I really don't think that she has any type of identity issue is because she talks about how it stems from the time where she was like molested by that teacher. But then we found out that she was lying about that, because she said you could just look it up. He was arrested for possession of CP, but you look it up and all you can find is his obituary. She even said that he got fired for it, but he didn't get fired for it. He just retired. So your foundation for your arguments don't even make sense. There's no logical foundation for anything that you're saying. It comes off like you're lying, because I think that you're lying.
Are coming out, and I was so excited to share it. And it just obviously was premature. I didn't really understand that I wasn't transgender, but rather non-binary and gender fluid.
No. So this is, dude. Okay, that would generally fall under the trans blanket. Gender. So I don't like this, because I think that there's a difference between people with gender dysphoria and people who just identify. But you would still consider non-binary to fall under the trans blanket. So you would still consider yourself transgender. And I think that come on.
And I just didn't know that term at the time. But like, as soon as
being trans myself, I don't think she knows what being a trans person even means or entails, and has no idea what the term even means. I agree 100%. 100%. I think that Trisha identifying as trans is invalidating to trans people.
The DID one, as soon as people were like looking for attention, trolling because of my history, then that's when I would like, I'm like, this is when I'm going to mess with everybody. Kind of like Carrie at the prom. Like, all the doors start slamming. And it's just not healthy. And how do we deal with the new world, the new technology, the new workspace, the new entertainment? Like, this is entertainment. This is work. This is how you network. This is no matter what business you're in, people use social media, whatever business. My realtor uses social media. Everyone uses social media. Now, how do we function as the mentally ill in a social media world?
I don't like that she calls herself mentally ill, because I don't think that I really don't think it's an accurate way to describe herself. I also think that people who would be considered like higher functioning, like you could consider me mentally ill to an extent, because I have ADHD, I have OCD, I'm dyslexic, I have Tourette's. Like, you can consider me. I wouldn't consider myself mentally ill. I feel like that's reserved for. First of all, I think that the term mentally ill is kind of shitty. I would say something when we talk about mental disorders, I get it, but I would generally say like maybe mentally incongruent or something like that. Mentally ill, just it reads poorly, and I'm not even a woke person, so I feel like Trisha. You get what I'm saying? Trisha, it tries to ride the woke waves. I don't, and I feel like that's too much. But even so, as somebody who I don't need support at all. I just, or needs low support. I wouldn't. I just feel like that should be reserved for people who like really could identify with that. She's saying that she's mentally like you don't represent people. I really don't think you represent any reasonable body of people when it comes to like your mental illnesses at all, if you even have any. I don't think you represent any group of people. So to say I'm mentally ill, this is my blanket of people that I'm going to represent in this conversation here, I feel like I just feel like it just rubs me the wrong way.
I have to pause to cut the camera, take a break. We'll be right back. All right, let's talk about.
You quite literally could have cut that out. You didn't have to show us you saying you have to cut the camera. I don't know. I'm nitpicking now.
That can help the mentally ill or people who are a little imbalanced. How do we manage this better? Just like my eating disorder, I have to manage it. I have to put a stop to my eating at some point when I'm full. All right, like when I'm done, when I'm finished. So when I'm done or finished with social media, when I'm done being active and now I'm just being passive, I log off. If you really can't control it, delete the app entirely. Delete the app entirely because my passwords are in most of my apps.
This is just general advice to like every 15-year-old. You know what I mean? I'm just going to increase the speed a little bit.
It's a lot to reinstate. Like my card got blocked because I was trying to make a big purchase and it was blocked 4 days ago and I still haven't unblocked it. I need to go unblock it because I need to use it. But I was like, you know what? I won't be able to spend money for 4 days. I spend money every single day shopping, every single day, Amazon or something. I spend it every single day. I mean, most people do. I mean, you know, food.
How the fuck can you not see? Isn't that like a very entitled thing though? I'm going to lower it a little bit. Isn't that entitled though? Like I could never not spend money for 4 days. I have fucking bills to pay.
Food or whatever. And deleting an app does wonders. I had deleted Snapchat and then like never looked back because Snapchat was ruining my life. Like Snapchat, you would see the in real time. Now there's like Instagram stories and stuff like that. I was in real time of the guy that I had just broken up with. And it was that intense. Not only was it the fear of missing out of what he was doing, of like who he was with. Like I would see someone next to him, I would like analyze the arm. I would go search.
That's weird, you know.
Blocking, or if you need to mute is great. Restricting is great. There's an Instagram account that I hate, but they are obsessed. They are obsessed with finding out everything about me and like everything that's going on. Like I would find out everything someone said about me or someone did from this account. They're really toxic account.
My God.
I don't know who this person is, but they're very clearly obsessed. And they would send me posts.
That's funny.
And while I appreciate because I can find out like someone's doing this dirty work and I can find out all the things people are saying because there's just no way I'm going to find out like on my own. This was like that direct link of someone sending me like, hey, this person's talking about this. And you know what? Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Honestly, my facials I was talking to the other day, Trishkin.com. But you know, she was saying you just you gotta just release. You have to stop fighting back. Because that is what's exhausting. That's exhausting you. That's, you know, she's not a therapist or anything, but you know, that's what's exhausting. And you know, that is it. It's the anxiety. It's the impending sense of doom coming back on social media because I'm thinking now everybody screenshots text messages. You know, I say stuff all the time in text messages that I don't mean, that I say out of anger or hate or just talking shit with people. And because people have those now, they save all of it, then they use it against you. It is that impending sense of doom, which is actually really real. It's more than just like this. It's irrational. It's reality. It will really happen, which I think may be a good thing because more people are just like, hey, don't be shitty. You know, I mean, there's nothing horrific that I've texted people. It's just if I'm angry or mad, this person's this or whatever. You know what I mean? But you know, if there's like if you're just a shitty person and it's found out, then maybe that's for the better.
What are you saying to people that you feel so like
careful what to text people? I know I am, and that's for the better because now I'm not, you know, verbally assaulting somebody or you know what I mean. Like that's for the better. I had to get a control on my anger. But we're here not talking about anger. Should the next class be anger management? Because I've been to anger management class. I've been there, and that is the most intense thing I've ever.
Well, we know that you've been to anger management class, Trisha. Do you want to know how we know? Because we saw Moses' arm. We saw what you did to Moses. We know you've been there.
That is an intense one. So deleting the apps, like just getting off them, and back to the passive active. If you're just passive, you know, your mind starts becoming almost numb, and I don't know the statistics, but for me, it's kind of like finding an activity, right? Finding something else to do besides read comments, finding something else to do besides being on social media. I go on and I post.
Oh, he fell down the stairs? My bad. I didn't know that he fell down the stairs. I'm sorry. I thought that she had hit him. He ran into a door. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get it wrong. So Moses fell down the stairs and then he got up, and because he was so jarred from falling, he got up and ran into a door. And then he hurt his arm specifically. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to get that wrong. Let me just walk that back.
And I'm not doing well right now because I'm so consumed because I know people are talking about me. However, I did watch today. We went out and did an art exhibit.
This is Trisha saying she's gonna do. I feel like honestly though, like all memes aside, I feel like the mysterious tea thing is having like an impact here. You know, she's starting to see that she's getting fucking blasted on all of her past bullshit. This cursor needs to be bigger on the Monkeys game. I can barely see it.
And that was great. I used my phone to take pictures. I used it to post on Instagram and just keeping it moving. You know what I mean? I
How do I
didn't
make it bigger?
stop to linger. I kept it moving.
What is this?
Sorry, I'm like going through something right here today.
This.
And I think that's really important. To go out and do something. When I work out, I don't look at social media for a number of reasons. It kind of makes me sick, you know, because I'm like elliptical and you're kind of bouncing with the phone. But also just it's like my time to like, I watch like trash TV shows. I watch like 90 Day Fiance or something at night.
What is this?
And we stop at 6 p.m. We watch a movie. Like we don't check. And it's kind of like more of like, I don't know if we're just not being rude because we're enjoying time together or we're both making that conscious effort to put our phones down. The biggest one that was helping me so much was not checking my phone in the morning. I check my phone in the morning all the freaking time.
What is this
and so right away, you're waking up to whatever people are tweeting at night or texting or someone's trying to, you know, harass you or whatever. And I go to bed really early, so I miss out on a lot. And so like the first thing I'm waking up to is just all the stuff that I missed. And do I need to know all the stuff that I missed? Just like that account that sends me the hate about me. I tell people straight up, like, don't even tell me. Don't even tell me what's happening or what people are saying, because again, that ignorance is bliss thing. Sometimes just not knowing, because right, that the saying is like, what other people think of me is none of my business. I'm on board with that. You know, there obviously is chance to learn, grow, discuss, but when
she's basically making a 46-minute video talking about how she should stop being on social media all the time, and I agree.
Are content in life, right? Like, okay, my relationship, right? There's always the biggest insecurities I have in my life are weight and love. Like I've always just had trust issues in relationship. My last relationship, while it ended badly, I didn't have trust issues with. And I,
you know, it's interesting. People were telling me she used to love Jason a lot. I don't know the specifics between those relationships, so I can't really comment. But people were saying that she really loved him a lot. And that I remember there was actually something that kind of exposed Trisha, where I think it was she made a comment about how she might be emulating 90 Day Fiance when it comes to Moses. Like she may not even necessarily love him, but I guess there was a ethnic guy, a Middle Eastern looking guy. Those are her words. And it was on the 90 Day Fiance, and that really resonated with her, and so she like absorbed that. It's very weird. It's very possible, I suppose. It's just very bizarre.
I had carried lots of trust issues from obviously all my years of being in false relationships and all this stuff like that. And so, but he kind of cured my trust issues in the sense like, oh, not all guys lie, not all guys cheat, and that was fabulous. That was great, and I'm really appreciative of that.
Very fabulous. Very poggers.
And you know, social media, obviously, people try and tear you apart, but my relationship now, you know, it's really great. It's the happiest, right, that I've been. But everyone is like, I can't wait for Moses to leave you. I can't wait for this to happen. And just even putting that into a mindset of someone who's not in a healthy mindset all the time anyways is really, what is the word? Cruel? You know, going for someone like that, wishing ill on something, will on somebody. I think they call it like the evil eye. You know, it's just not a good.
It's just kind of funny. I'm sorry for laughing.
To me, that's where I'm like, oh, that's when I start getting like, is this even worth it? Like, and I get stuck. I get stuck when I think about it. You know, social media, I love too, because I'm able to do this podcast. The reason I'm doing this and talking about this is because like, I find people I relate to online, the most obscure things. I'll type in anything. I'll type in whatever it is, and I can find someone to relate to. And I'm like, that's so cool that like someone is feeling this exact thing. And I think my entire life on the internet, of 15 years on social media, that's what always kept me going, because other people relate. Like people say, I'm just like you, or I feel for you. I have a sister like you. You remind me of this. I see this. I do the exact same thing. And like those emails and everything, those are what it's like. Okay,
who says
this
that?
This is the positive aspect of it, right?
Who says that?
And
Trisha?
the comments, I mean, of filming this, I put up. I actually only put up one.
Who says that, Trish?
The comments on the first one I was reading, and it was just sorry, I was going to go do that and see.
Who fucking says that, Trish? What are you talking about?
What
are you talking about? Huh?
As I just said, don't do this. That's like,
what do you mean by that?
I wanted to see topics. I was like, what topics can I discuss? The very first one, Moses is in an abusive relationship. She is an abuser. Everyone needs to help this man get out of her manipulation. He is scared for his safety. Take this serious. She is abusing him. Like, this is insane. This is so insane. This is so one just so far from reality. Moses himself has replied to people and been like, like, why aren't you worried about like actual victims? Like, you're harming people who are actually in those relationships by just making false claims.
Isn't it incredible? Isn't that such a really interesting point that Moses made about how false claims are invalidating to different groups of people in defense of Trisha Paytas, as if she doesn't absorb the issues of other people and pretend that she has them. I mean, we've already caught her in so many lies. But it's those people's fault. So by their logic, her and Moses' logic, let's put this into perspective. I know I'm losing my game. But by her and Moses' logic, hitting your partner isn't a real instance of abuse. So don't focus on that. Okay? Don't focus on that, because that's not a real instance of abuse. However, lying and calling somebody a predator and a pedophile and a child molester that objectively never happened, that's not an instance of invalidating people. Like trauma survivors. Very interesting perspective there, Trisha. Definitely based as fuck.
Then it says no respect for elders. Like, this is like, she will hurt Moses. Like, this.
True. Yeah, I agree.
This is the stuff that's like, and not only it can get someone in serious trouble, right? Like,
sure, I guess.
Your drug use caused your May 8th psychosis. You were on meth. Like, people just telling me, you have directly quoted. So all your heavy drug use throughout the years, trolling DID and fake the DID kitchen, you were acting or on drugs, all this Xanax speech. You cannot blame things on mental illness when you were using.
Maybe. I don't
it's
know.
like people knowing I've been mentally ill. Drugs obviously make.
You've been mentally ill. I focus on these weird things that you have been. Are you, or have you been mentally ill? Because those are two different statements.
Get worse. I'm not denying that, but there's a huge difference between being untreated for mental illness and being on drugs. And I don't think I blur those lines. I'm very clear when I was on drugs, when it's just been untreated mental illness.
What?
How can you even know what you have if you were using mind-altering substance, which is a disease within itself? I don't think you having a mental illness podcast is the best for others, because you are not a doctor and you do lie a lot. And then once again,
that's true, though. That part is true. Regardless of whether you do or don't believe that Trisha has a mental illness, she should not be somebody talking about her experiences, because she can't even get her experiences straight. So even if she does have it and we're all wrong and somehow she has a mental illness, but like she just is just a fucking idiot, she shouldn't be talking about it, because she can't have an honest and genuine conversation, and she can't articulate herself when it comes to what's wrong with her. So yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
This is it. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, if you don't believe me, if you do not trust me, then why watch me?
This is funny, because
what am I benefiting from getting, you're an abuser, you're this, you're that? Like, this is where I'm stuck. This is my only option, because none of this is going to look good to employers. I'm not stigmatizing that you don't hire people with
you don't need to work, though. So I hate this argument people will make. It's like the Hassan argument. It's like, I need to do this job because what am I going to do, go poor? It's like, you're a millionaire. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? So it's like, you make a lot of money. You don't need to do this. And again, you could just shift your platform in a slightly different direction. You'd get less views, but you'd still have a sustainable income. So shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Mental illness or something like that. But there's a long history of Trisha Paytas on the internet. If you were to look up any employer, a lot of employers, not any, it's not going to happen. I'm so far gone. I'm so far gone, and you can diagnose this and say that's not a healthy mindset either, Trisha, whatever. I am so far gone. I'm shocked that I'm going to have a husband really soon. Like, I'm shocked that someone stands by me through it. Like, it's loves me through it. I'm shocked, but I'm lucky because of him. I haven't had manic episodes, breakdowns in my personal life. There, all this like hate that I've been getting lately, and just straight up bullying and just being awful, just lies, and just literally people just making up stuff.
It's funny because she's getting hate because people are finally realizing that how inconsistent, like much of a shitty person she is. She's not just getting hate, man. Like, people are like, wow, we can see the horrible inconsistencies in what you're saying, and we're starting to not like you because of it, because we thought that you were at least genuine in what you were expressing, but it turns out you're not.
Send me into a tailspin in the past. I'll start trolling. Okay, I'm going to act crazy now so people don't even know. Like, which is harmful to people who are mentally, if you're mentally ill and you're acting mentally ill, you're harming yourself. You're doing, it's making it worse. It's complicating things, but instead I do sleep at night. I do have a grasp on reality. I feel stability. I mean, this is just so much. Everyone, You are extremely spiteful. You knew that going on the podcast would hurt Ethan. Oh my God, this is funny. It's like,
I love these comments, Trisha. Thank you for showing them to me. They're funny.
I blacked out. It was the drugs or meds or whatever. Stop the cap. You are very calculated. You make up stories. It's like,
True. I agree with that.
you're not allowed, back to the beginning of this, to feel pain or be hurt or feel sorry for yourself. Like, it's on the internet. You're just not allowed. And that takes me back to when I was a kid and I wasn't allowed to cry. Like, don't cry.
It's just so funny because it's not like Trisha has fucked up like on saying one thing. You know, Trisha didn't just like say something inappropriate one time. Does somebody have a list of times she's lied? You know what I mean? So it's one thing to fuck up once and people don't give you a break. That's cancel culture. But she is a consistent lying asshole. The only reason that people still watch her, though, is because that's really what we watch her for, because she's a fucking train wreck, and it's honestly fun to criticize her. It's the truth.
Stop crying. Those are fake tears. I have heard that from being a child, growing up, to my last relationship, would say...
Yeah, that makes sense, because you are quite literally on record saying, oh, when I guilt people, I get things. Yeah, no shit. Usually some people will cry to guilt you into things. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you've been historically in your life, or you know, routinely in your life, called out for crying, fake crying. Like, stop it. What are you trying to ride the toxic masculinity wave and try to make this like suggestion that you were a victim of toxic masculinity, saying that you shouldn't cry? Because what's interesting is women generally, women don't experience that. Women have, like, and I know that the whole non-binary thing, but regardless, even if you identify and truly identified as like not a woman, you're still so female passing and you grew up as a girl. So you don't get to say that, it's not me, I'm not a woman. Okay, but you still, like, a lot, trans people still have the experiences of their born, of the gender that was assigned at their birth, which is actually it's one of the struggles of trans people, is to, when you transition from like male to female, female to male, or we'll stick something to, like, when you transition from male to female, it can be very difficult to operate sometimes in certain situations because you can't recall a similar experience, right? So for instance, if I'm hanging out with a girl, I can recall on my former experiences to make a reasonable assumption if she's into me enough for me to make a move. Not like a predatory move, but like, honestly, my moves are, I actually just ask girls if I can kiss them, what I used to. You can ask Mama Gut. Because I don't like to fuck around with the consent shit. I like to be very clear and direct. And no woman's ever been like, "Oh, I just want you to fucking kiss me." It's like, I don't have that problem. It's the way you ask, not if you ask somebody to kiss. However, people, the trans women may find it difficult because they might be dating. It's the first time that they're experiencing a situation as identifying publicly as a woman. It's difficult to express this because I don't have gender dysphoria. But I know I went off onto a tangent. But I was saying that women don't get shamed for crying nearly as much as men. So if you were getting shamed for crying, it's probably there's a better chance that maybe you were doing it for dubious reasons.
Manipulate with those tears. Those are fake tears.
How do you ask somebody if they want to kiss you? So the way that I ask people, if I say, so when I go on dates, we should probably start there. Yeah, I would just ask girls if they wanted to kiss me. I would just, like, we would get into the moment where it's like, oh, okay, are we ready for the kiss? I would just say like, oh, do you like can I kiss you? Or I'll say I want to kiss you, and if they say yes, I'll kiss them. It's not about asking. People like to say like, oh, girls just like it when you go for it. Like, yeah, some people like that, but I'm not going to sexually assault you on the off chance you like it. You can ask somebody in a sexy way. Like, if you're like, can I kiss you, and you're sweating, of course you're gonna come off like a loser. But if you're like, hey, like, if you say, hey, I want to kiss you, like, is it okay if I kiss you? Like a dominant person, like a man, like an adult will say like that. If you say it like that, and they're like, yeah, then there you go. They're not gonna get turned off because you say that.
I have uncontrollable tears when I'm upset. It's in the same way a baby does. It's how my manic episodes are upwards. So it's a tantrum that I can't control, and I don't like it. I didn't like having tantrums as a kid. I didn't like having tantrums as an adult. It makes me physically sick. My brain, I always thought I was gonna have like an aneurysm or something. I always was like, I'm gonna have a brain aneurysm because like my head would explode from crying. It hurts so much. It doesn't feel good. It's my body's reaction, but that's not allowed. That's not okay. And this is the same mentality of you are not to be trusted and on the podcast. It's the internet. Talking about this is because, like,
fuck, did I just skip something?
I find people I relate to online, the most obscure things. I'll type in anything. I'll type in whatever it is, and I can find someone to relate to. And I'm like, that's so.
Fuck, I don't remember what point we were at. Dude, I don't remember.
I blacked out. It was the drugs or meds or whatever. Stop the cap. You are very
All
calculated.
right, I gotta find out where we were because I accidentally pressed a button. But what's so funny is she's talking about how she turns her phone off and doesn't look at social media so that she doesn't get the hate comments, but she's getting hate comments now and she's reading them all.
I was so scared of the people who abused me. Like, it took one of them to have borderline title because some people have sympathy for. Not really. Like, this was a time when I was begging for help. I was on Instagram stories. Just I didn't like having tantrums as an adult.
There we
it
go.
Makes me physically sick. My brain. I always thought I was gonna have like an aneurysm or something. I always was like, I'm gonna have a brain aneurysm because like my head would explode from crying. It hurts so much. It doesn't feel good. It's my body's reaction, but it's not. That's not allowed. That's not okay. And this is the same mentality of you are not to be trusted. And on the mental illness podcast, it's the internet person. Why are you here? Why do people leave these comments?
Bro, it's incredible because her defense is basically like, I'm so dumb, you shouldn't listen to me. Is that her defense? People are making really good points. Like, you should not have a mental health podcast, but it's like, why? Well, in my defense, you should know not to listen to me. Is that her defense there?
I remember when I was going through like an actual pill addiction. Like, I actually went to a mental hospital. I went to a mental hospital 3 times in a year, and I really only talk about the first one. But the second time, I had a really bad pill problem, really, really bad. And there was a commenter on the internet who is a sober guy and whatever. And just
I don't understand though, because one of the things that I'm struggling with here is that in this phone podcast, she said that she wasn't addicted to pills. She just had a habit of using them. But if you went to a mental health hospital, I think that's what you called it, 3 times, I would say that you probably are addicted to pills. So why aren't you classifying that as an addiction? I don't understand that. It doesn't really make sense to me because I feel like if you are taking pills to in a degree where you have to go to a hospital for it, you're probably an addict. So why is she saying she's not an addict and it's just like a bad habit? That doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make logical sense.
Thinks that he just tells everyone she's not really on pills.
Especially for somebody who constantly says she has everything she doesn't. Do you think that she would just say like, I'm a pill addict? You know what I mean? Not
really. Like, this was a time when I was begging for help. I was on Instagram stories just begging. Like, there was please help me. And someone did call a wellness check. And I just straight up, I was like, I just want to die and I can't do it. Like, it's not happening. How do I do it? Help me do it.
Oh, is that why she went to the doctor? Because she tried to kill herself 3 times? Is that why she said she just has a problem and she's not addicted?
She was like, I started thinking like, it's just going to take for me to die, right? I already glorified Anna Nicole and all these people. It's going to take for me to die. And then people are going to feel sorry and they're going to see, and they're like, this is what mental illness happens. And this is that, that was the way I'm glorifying this. And then all these comments, it's like, flop.
That's interesting, though. So she's making this assertion that she tried to take her own life because she was depressed, but then she also made this assertion that she did it because she wanted to be like Anna Nicole Smith, which makes sense to me from her perspective.
And there are nice comments, obviously, but
obviously,
so she's
a
raging narcissist. She uses the borderline title because some people have sympathy for it. Narcissists also lack identity. Like, just people diagnosing people on the internet, like, I'm already over it. Also lack identity and scared of abandonment. Okay, so like, but what if I'm lying about lack of identity and scared of abandonment? Like, then you're, what if I'm fooling you all? I'm in control of all this. Do you know what I mean? Like, people just sound so stupid. I'm a liar, but then you can also diagnose me. What is it? Which one is it? More fake shit?
I actually know what it is. You ready? I know exactly what it is. This is what we have to diagnose Trisha with.
Shut up, bitch!
That's the treatment for what you have.
Damn, you just don't quit. The book she wrote.
You know what's so terrible? It's the problem with what I just did, though, is that Ethan did that to her before. But I've been doing that before they did that on that podcast. I used to do that all the time. It was so funny that I would do it all the time on my TikTok videos. Not on my videos on TikTok. I would do reviews on videos on YouTube. And now it seems like I'm just copying Ethan. Fuck.
Years ago,
fuck you, Ethan.
The book I wrote 10 years ago, I'm 23 years old. I'm protecting everything. I'm writing my own story.
Oh, sorry. I missed what she was saying. I want to see how she's lying
10
to
years
us.
ago, controversy almost everything she has quit. The book she wrote 10 years ago, controversy almost everything she said about child and grew up. The book I wrote 10 years ago, I'm 23 years old.
Okay. So?
I'm protecting everything. I'm writing my own story.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's not reality. I was so scared.
Now, look at that. Her reaction to Mysterious T's video. is that she was lying when she was 23. Despite the fact that she was probably more trustworthy back then, now she's lying. She was protecting herself, so she lied about everything. That doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. Because if I was somebody who felt the need to protect myself, I wouldn't write in a book that I used to sexualize myself to get attention from the students and to get attention from the male teachers. She wrote that in her book. But then the narrative changed somehow to that she was never sexualized herself and dressed conservatively and got sexually assaulted. Again, it doesn't make sense. I understand repressed memories, but getting assaulted works perfectly fine within the narrative that you sexualized yourself, because it's not your fault if you get assaulted, regardless of what you're wearing. So it just doesn't make any sense.
Who abused me, like it took one of them to actually die for me to feel some sort of like relief, and another one to go get charges pressed against him for me to like go back and say something and at least make something right.
No, dude, did you just hear what Trisha did? Hold on. I just need to, this is like a, so this is something for Mysterious T probably to pick up here. Okay, I want you to hear what she just did.
Oh, one of them to that's not reality. I was so scared. I was so scared of the people who abused me. Like it took one of them to actually die for me to feel some sort of like relief, and another one to go get charges pressed against him for me to like go back and say something. And
okay, did you hear what she just said? This is at 38 minutes for Mysterious T. So what she just did, I'm pretty sure she's seen the Mysterious T video. And the reason I say that is because Trisha, the original narrative was that this guy she said to look up, I keep forgetting his name. I forget the teacher's name. She would say, look up this teacher. He got kicked out of school or whatever for having CP on his computer after he molested me, and he got arrested for it. And when you look it up, you cannot see any arrest for this guy because it didn't happen. But now she's saying that those were two different situations as a way to try to contest people calling her out on her bullshit. So now she's saying that the one guy just assaulted her but never got caught, and it was a different guy who got caught, but she won't name the guy who got caught. So do you see how she's being very reactionary? Do you see how she's being very reactionary? Mr. Riney. How fucked up is that? How fucked up is that? I know. This is, to me, this is guaranteed proof that Trisha Paytas watched the Mysterious T video. Because this is what happens. She'll get called out, and then she'll change the narrative. So not only did she watch the first one, she watched the second one too. And now she's trying to change the narrative. That's fucked up. Trisha is such a bad fucking person. Holy shit. She got called on her shit, and now she's shifting the narrative. And this is what we do. We talk about this all the time. She did this with Ethan as well. What she'll do is she'll tell a story that's wrong. You'll engage in the conversation with the story, like with Ethan, and then you would move on from it, but she would keep retelling the story in whatever way fit her narrative. This is what Trisha does. She just retells the same story over and over again with a detail that strengthens her perspective on any given day. Holy fuck. If you guys want to show Mysterious T that, it's the My Chemical Imbalance episode 5, 38 minutes in. It's really fucked up. I find that to be really fucked up.
At least make something right.
And after she just lied there, do you see the manipulative tone in her voice? It's this, I genuinely believe that she's creating this manipulative, like, you notice the way that she's sitting, the way that she's talking, and the way that she's breathing. You see how I'm sitting, talking, and breathing right now? I'm sitting in a very confident position. You could almost say it in like the way that, I don't know, like a school teacher would sit. But she's sitting down slouched. She's talking like this. You know, these things are really upsetting. She's saying a sentence and she's exhaling. She wants you to feel bad for her while she's literally lying to your face.
I feel defeated. And one of the things people say, can't cancel Trisha Paytas. And you know what? It's because I don't have any other option. I put myself too far gone. I'm too far gone. I put too much out there trying to come across real and for people to see the real me. And
no, you didn't. You've never tried to be real. Shut the fuck up.
It does not work. It doesn't.
And you know what's so funny about that too? It's so funny. This is just such a funny thing. She was just talking about how when she was 23 years old, that whole book was a lie because she was trying to protect herself. But now what she just said is that she used to try to put herself out in the world in a genuine way, but people thought she was a liar. So now she's just the Joker and she's going to lie all the time. Do you understand? So she just invalidated what she said. What she just said was that she used to be more reputable after telling us that that book wasn't reputable because it was her before now. There's no logical consistency in this woman's any of her language. She just talks and she's so dumb. It's fucking incredible.
Not work. But what else am I gonna do? And so that's when I surrendered everything. I'm like,
I can't work. What else should I do? Make some other content, Trisha.
Let's be honesty hour here. And then that doesn't work. Oh, you lie. You lie about this. You lie about that. Show me. Show me. Show me.
You were shown and you saw it.
The final thing I wanted to say that helped me a lot is, and it helped me from the beginning and it helps me now, is to get out into the real world. I'm fortunate enough to have fans. Like being famous or having it, more so having people recognize you on the street was my end all be all goal. And there's not a day I go out where I don't get recognized. And there's some days I'm having really bad days and I don't know how to act, or I get awkward or anxious, or I feel like I'm ugly or fat.
That actually makes sense because I that's probably why there are so many wildfires in California, because every time somebody sees her in the streets, they light themselves on fire and they run around hysterically because she's a fucking demon walking in the streets.
Thinking about all the photos that people are gonna post and say, look at those angles, like she's photoshopping, like all this stuff like that, you know. But I go out and I have never met a hater. I met a boy once that flicked me off and said he was a David fan, but I never met someone who hated on me to my face. And we went out the other night and
yeah, because most people just think that you're not worth their time. That's it. Most people are just like, you're not worth our time, Trisha. We're not even going to talk to you. Like, if I saw you in the street, I probably wouldn't associate myself with you at all. Like, would I sit down and have a conversation with Trisha? For sure. But if I saw her in the street, I would avoid her. I just think that she's a gross human being. Hi, Trisha. Can I have your autograph? And there's no reason for me to walk up to her and be like, Trisha, you're a lying bad person. Maybe there is. Maybe I should do that. Just, Trisha, you're just a bad person. Moses might hit me, though. But then I'd say, Moses, you just hit yourself because we're all water.
And there was a girl sitting next to me, just like, I support you. I love you. I watched you since this, and this. And I say that to say, like, the real world, in conclusion, is not the internet.
Did she bring up her photoshopping or photo? Yeah, of course she did. She always talks about that shit.
The internet is not the real world. There is cyber world, and yes, there's real humans and real feelings and real thoughts and real money to be made, but it's all what you want to see. And
we're in the cyber world, guys. It's not real. This is not Digimon.
It's just a weird way to say it.
It's all what they want you to see, and it's all what you want to see. I can present you one thing, and you're going to see something completely different. Those people comment that's going to watch more lies, this bullshit, remember this, whatever. I don't care anymore.
Yes, you do.
You know,
it's not working, Trisha. I know you care.
As always, I'm talking in the now. I'm talking in the here.
Yeah, me too.
I'm trying to work through my own shit.
No.
And it's just not real. And that's what I have to remind myself. We're even going out and getting a facial, going to Target. Like, the world goes on. The world continues. There are times when I think the world is over. It comes crashing down. I'm like, this is it. This is it for me. But no matter what, the world is spinning. The world is going to go on with or without you. We could stay in bed all day, but there's life happening outside. There's opportunity happening outside. There are days when I wake up and I get emails and I'm just like, oh, a great opportunity, a great something. And my whole world changes. And it's happened time and time again on the internet. I've had 99 lives here on the internet, and I've had 99 lives here on the outside. And I never give up online and in the real world, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Life is already short enough. Life is fucking hard. And there are times when it sucks. But the beauty in light, the beautiful parts of life.
My life is shortening every fucking moment I listen to you talk, Trisha. Jesus Christ, my mind's melting.
Maybe this is my borderline. The high highs are just worth it, and the low lows. But the high highs
Maybe this is my borderline. I have basic human experiences where sometimes things are good and sometimes things are bad.
I'm not surprised that you said that. Maybe it's my borderline, but I have high highs, and everybody has like Mama Gut has high highs and low lows. I gotta sometimes she's just sitting there crying at night, and she'll get really Sometimes she'll cry about stuff. Like she got her period and she was upset because she had a couple of chores to do. She's like, I'm upset, and she cries, and I cuddle her and I love her. And then she'll have really high highs where she's super excited about going to the aquarium. But she doesn't have a fucking disorder, you know. Some people are just they experience things a little differently. Trisha, you don't have to fucking. This is what I'm talking about. I feel like she looks at like the diagnoses of particular things and she absorbs them onto herself. You know, I did a segment before talking about ADHD and I looked it up. And I was like, there's like 14 telltale signs that you have ADHD, and they're all identifiable, right? I'm not even going to look it up, but they're all identifiable. It's like, oh, do you procrastinate? It's like, oh, no fucking kidding. Who the fuck doesn't procrastinate? And so she probably like reads through, what is it called? Like the medical Wikipedia thing, WebMD. And she's like, oh shit, sometimes I fart too loudly. I must have a farting problem. And it's like, dude, sometimes you just fart loud. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the way the world works. You know, you don't have a diagnosable everything just because you can identify with some things. Everybody might, you might even have all of the indicators of a particular thing, like BPD. You might have all the indicators, but if they're not extreme enough to get treatment for it, then then it's not really a thing. You can manage it. Diagnoses are for people who cannot manage them by themselves, and I know that you can. Somebody said she did a BuzzFeed survey. That's funny. She probably did.
They're a beautiful thing. And that's someone with borderline who has the highest highs that the world has. They're high and they're beautiful. And anytime I'm going through a low, I remember that. If you find someone to love you in the real world, stick with them. If you find you love yourself in the real world, don't give up.
What is this? What do you say? What are you, a fucking fortune cookie now, Trisha? What the fuck are you talking about?
And I don't think you should give up on Cyberworld. Cyberworld's a beautiful thing. I think there's a lot of room to grow and educate and learn.
Shut up.
The internet has taught me a lot. Even this younger generation. My lips are going to be up on Gen Z. I think taught me so much about myself.
They didn't teach you a lot about yourself, Trisha. You learned to ride their popularity by weaponizing mental health issues to garner sympathy.
People are so much more open now to genders and love and no labels, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. And I love that people are talking about things. I love that people are open. Don't let anyone stop you from sharing your story. Start a freaking mental health podcast and piss everybody off. Because at the end of the day, this is what it's like, not even reality. How is me doing this, sitting here? How is that? And someone who absolutely hates me, despises me, thinks I'm lying. How am I affecting your life so much? You sat and write that paragraph. You sat and you watched this. You clicked on it. You're giving this attention. Like how? This is how, like, it's that age-old thing, but it's the truth. Like, those people's lives are sad. There is...
Look, she's given mostly probably Mysterious T shit. She's like, stop calling me out on my shit. You're a loser for calling me out because you're watching my podcast just to hate it. Well, you know what, Trisha? Just like you said before, I have to be intentionally controversial because I have an addiction to money. You know what? Me too, bitch. I gotta make money too. So you know what? I'm watching your content to shit on it because you're a liar and it makes me money. That's the reality. I enjoy doing it because I enjoy calling you out, and I do enjoy making money. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Now, if it was exclusively for the money, I wouldn't do it because I genuinely like. This is a fun pastime for me. But just shut the hell up.
You're a loser for criticizing me.
Dude, you couldn't be any less accountable for your actions by saying that.
You're a loser for criticizing my bad behavior because
you talk about how you're famous. This is what happens. Before you were like, I understand that comes with being famous. Is people will think I'm a loser or people will criticize you. Yeah, that's what comes with being famous. It happens to me too. You know, it's just crazy. I just don't understand.
Constructive criticism. There are people who want to see you do better, and then there are people who are just...
I'm giving you to be absolutely honest though, myself and Mysteriously give you very constructive criticism, very, very in detail constructive criticism. So we're like, you just don't. I doubt you perceive it as such. You probably perceive it as being just people invalidating you or whatever. But we give you a very constructive criticism, especially Mysterious Day. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But we're gonna listen to this alert. I forgot. I meant to play the.
Among Us.
I'm really happy I played that for this video.
Everything I post, everything I do, it's long messages. They're sending them to every single person that I interact with. And that is a sad life. And to you, I say, go live in the real world, go out and experience life.
Yo, she's telling us to touch grass. Boom. I do. I take the money that I make from YouTube and I go and I take Mama Gut out and we have a lot of fun. I'm not like rich, but we went to the aquarium the other day. We had such a nice day the other day. She took off from work for the day. No, wait, that might have been a weekend. No, it was a weekend. I got up early. I did some work. I woke her up. I said, baby, let's go out. Let's go grab something to eat and let's go to the aquarium. She was so happy. Her eyes lit up. She took a shower. I took a shower. We went out. We got a little bit of McDonald's breakfast. We each got a meal, which was good for us. Like, we've been eating a lot healthier, so we haven't had fast food in about a month. But we just got one meal each. I ate her hash browns. It was nice. We drove to the aquarium. We walked around. We were in there for a couple hours. We pet the sting. I didn't. Mama got pet the stingrays. We left there. We went to a buffet out by the aquarium. It was such a nice day. And I did it because I criticized you. I'm using my criticisms to have fun in the real world. I'm truly blessed with the job that I do. It is easier than the real job I used to work for over 10 years. And I'm able to spoil my fiance. So I'm going to do both things. I'm going to criticize you and I'm going to touch grass every day. It's amazing.
Get out and socialize. Get out and be in the real world.
Trisha, you know what's so sad about you telling me to get out and socialize? You can't make friends because you're such a bad person. So don't fucking criticize me and get out and socialize. Why don't you fucking get out and socialize?
We went to this Van Gogh thing and it was nice. It was great. It wasn't that great, but it was an outing. It got me out. It got me to see senses. You know, we talk about that in DBT class. Like, you know, there's comforting. There's a sense of touch to self-soothe. There's the smells of self-soothe, like taste, and you really got to focus on each thing. What am I tasting? So when you're eating food, you're focusing. What am I tasting? When you're smelling something, what am I smelling? What am I feeling? What am I? You know, there's so many sensory soothing techniques in the real world that's not in your house. You know, my house is beautiful. I love being at home. I'm a homebody, but there are so many things that can help you in the world just by going out, raising your serotonin levels, getting a little bit of sun, and exercise. I know I'm a fat bitch over here, but exercise does wonders too. And don't even go on social media and exercise. Don't even, you know, take a picture if you want, if you're on a walk or something, but I don't even go on it. I watch trash TV on it, but it's just something about it resets your mind. You feel good. You just, it literally gives you stuff in your body. I know it sounds crazy. Like,
Trisha, you're not even really that fat. Shut up. It's annoying.
Get your clothes on. I know you're gonna sweat and you gotta go. Like, it's annoying. It's better to just stay in bed, but once you do it, it feels so good. I need to go do it now because honestly, like, even talking right now, like, having this is what I'm saying. It's kind of a beautiful thing having this line of communication with. I know someone out there is gonna.
I can't believe that she dressed like this today. You know what I mean? Like, look at this. Look at her fucking hair. I didn't really pick up on it till now because for her it's somewhat normal. But like, maybe she could use the sensory soothing to help her schizophrenia. Mama Gut, you're such a fucking troll.
And someone's gonna see it, and someone's gonna offer me this like lightning moment, light bulb moment. That makes me excited. You know, I get a lot of these light bulb moments online too, because there are real people. As I'm saying, there are real people with real thoughts and real feelings, and I think it's cool. And I met a lot of cool people from it. So I'm not gonna give up on it. I'm not gonna give up on life, and I don't want you to either. Okay, I felt like a lot better just talking about it right now. Sometimes just talking, just having someone listen. That's why I have a mental health podcast, because someone's gonna listen.
It's true, we are listening, Trisha. We're all listening. These ratios are fucking destructive, though.
Should the mentally ill be on social media? Yeah. I think it offers a lot of stuff that otherwise you may not be able to connect and communicate with. I think they do have some really positive communities if you keep it positive, if you find the right things. And I hope you find the right thing for you. This has been a My Chemical.
Oh, was that like a knock at people like me? Like, oh, I hope you find. I have a really solid community. You know what's really interesting about my community, though, Trisha? You know what's really interesting is that it's full of people who used to love you. They used to love you. They used to think that you were an amazing content creator. They used to think that you were a little goofy and a little bit of a troll, but you were, for the most part, genuine. And they feel like you've changed drastically to this ingenuine monster, this disingenuous person that they're so upset by, that weaponizes mental health issues that they have and traumas that they have just for attention. And I want you to really, I hope that really resonates with you, that's what it is. There are people that you've upset to such a heavy degree by just being so dishonest. And I hope that I hope that you could think about that for a little bit. No. play these alerts, and then we're gonna look for somebody to rate on Twitchy Poo.
Papa, why you always stream when I am in school?
Hey, because I'm
What
fucking
happens
dumb.
to you streaming later?
Fuck you,
Also,
bitch.
could you say